As a person living with a disability, I learned one of my most important lessons when I was 3. I was visiting my doctor at Shriners Hospital, Dr. Tippy, and he told me I was going into the hospital soon and that he was going to fix my arm. And I started to cry, fix my arm, but that's what makes me special. My disability is part of me. It's an essential part, and I wasn't ready to give it up. So Dr. Tippy, he sat me down and he said, "Don't worry, Kevin, your arm will still be special. We're just going to make it work a little bit better." And that sounded okay. We worked out a deal. And this is when I learned that whether it's a teacher, a doctor, a case manager, a counselor, when their success is tied to my own and they're truly on the same journey with me, the chance of success rises significantly. I think this is the foundation of any helping relationship. I'm a storyteller and a disability advocate. It's what I do for a living. And I think of people as stories. I'm not defined by my disability. I'm not a list of symptoms, just as I'm not a list of jobs I've had or girlfriends. I'm an ever-changing work in progress. When I attended public schools as a kid, expectations for kids with disabilities, they were pretty low. But we have come a long way, and professionals now understand that they are the partners who help youth explore their options. With person-centered planning, it's all about supporting youth to live, learn, work, and enjoy life the way they choose. Now, Minnesota has a statewide transition framework that defines high-quality transition programming for youth with disabilities and those who support them. Minnesota's transition framework strengthens the partnership between schools, vocational rehabilitation services, that's VRS, state services for the blind, SSB, waiver case managers, and service providers by fostering a common approach to the delivery of transition planning services. The framework sets common goals. It aligns common values, language, systems, and best practices. It facilitates coordination of services and supports. It promotes collaborative partnerships with youth, families, and professionals. And it ensures consistent transition planning experiences for youth and families. For the youth you serve, the framework helps them to use self-determination and leadership skills to envision and advocate for their best life, to successfully live as independently as possible, becoming part of the community they choose to live in and housing that works for them, to find competitive, integrated work that they enjoy, and access post-secondary education and training options. There are guiding principles that serve as the foundation for effective transition planning. Start transition planning early. By law, transition planning must be in place by the 9th grade, but this is a lifelong process that begins well before that. Engage families as partners. Make parents and loved ones meaningful partners in the transition process. Families are integral to building successful transition outcomes. In fact, family involvement is a measurable predictor of success. Foster self-determination. I find in the world of disability that the young people I work with often have an inner strength but lack the skill to voice that or to feel confident that they will be heard. Help youth you support build self-awareness, know their rights, understand their options, and make informed choices, and advocate for what they want. Focus on strengths. When I was a young adult trying to get a job in the theater, I decided to use my disability as a plus rather than a liability, and it really made a big difference. Young people especially need to know that they are the experts in their own lives. Hold high expectations. People are really influenced by what people think they can do. Lead with a spirit of optimism and help youth and their families see what can be achieved with appropriate opportunities and support. Develop strong partnerships. It takes committed partners working together. Building person-centered informal and formal partnerships during high school supports better outcomes. Remember to consider each person as an individual. There's no one-size-fits-all strategy for youths with disabilities. Be resourceful, think outside the box, brainstorm, and partner with colleagues. We've all been called to do this work for the same reason, to help another person live their best possible life. And don't worry, there are so many resources available to support you and make your job easier to reach the better outcomes that we're all seeking. You can find a wealth of resources at disabilityhubmn.org, and specifically the Youth in Transition Toolkit in the Professional section. This toolkit is comprehensive with up-to-date resources, guidance, and tools to help professionals implement Minnesota's transition framework. In my work, one of the things I'm most struck by is meeting young people who have found their way to meaningful employment and independence, and now want to give back and help others find their way. Their message? Dream big and you can do it. And this is all thanks to the work you do. And as advocates and professionals, when we successfully help guide a young person on this path, aren't we also living our own best lives?